Welcome back to Broke Electronics. I'm Lee, and it's very good to be here with you today. Now, I've done several videos now featuring my PowerBook 1400 CS/166. Kind of a mouthful there. And a lot of them have been the vicissitudes of trying to communicate and get files onto this machine. Now, that has been largely solved. You look back on, I think this is the last video I did with this machine, where I was successful in getting a PCMCIA card with an Ethernet port. So it can now connect to my local area network. But as I was thinking about this, I realized there is an option that I was neglecting. This machine has an infrared port. And Apple, from 1995 through about 2002, did support peer-to-peer infrared communication for the purpose of file sharing. This was restricted only to laptops, and specifically the PowerBook series, with the exception of the iMac G3. That was the only desktop that had that infrared port. Now, there were also other devices, the Newton PDA, the eMate, which is a very strange little machine. I'd love to get hold of one sometime, that also had infrared. So this machine can communicate via infrared. My Pismo has an infrared port. So I can communicate to the 1400 using infrared in the Pismo, right? Well, it's not quite that simple. In that 7-year time frame that Apple was supporting peer-to-peer infrared communication, they used two very different communication protocols. One was completely proprietary, based on Apple Talk. It was called IR Talk. Then infrared communications began to be standardized across the industry through the IRDA, and Apple began to support the IRDA protocol. Problem? The Pismo only supports IRDA. The 1400 only supports IR Talk. So they cannot communicate. Well, there's a third player in this. My Wall Street PDQ. This was in the transition phase, and it supported IR Talk, so it communicate with older machines, and IRDA. So what I can do is connect the Pismo to the Wall Street via infrared, transfer files, and then connect the Wall Street to the 1400 to transfer those files. Now, you might ask, what is the practical application of this? Nothing really. It's just interesting to see how it worked. Now that all three of the computers can connect to the local area network, there's no real need to connect any other way. So, the plan is to take two files that currently reside in the Pismo, using infrared, transfer them to the Wall Street, and then, using infrared, transfer them once again from the Wall Street to the 1400. It should be an interesting experiment and an interesting look back into the time when wireless was in its infancy, Bluetooth pretty much didn't exist. So there was infrared. So I'm interested in this. If you find this interesting, please stay tuned. Okay, we're going to start off here with the Pismo, which is booted up into macOS 9.2.2. And just so you get a clear idea of how this works, you have the control panels. There is an infrared control panel. And you can see here that we have connect via infrared built-in IRDA. So that is as it should be. Now, turning our attention back to control panel. And let's have a quick look at file sharing. We see that file sharing is currently starting up. So we will, of course, give it a chance to continue with that process. And one other control panel to look at here, and this, of course, is an important one. The AppleTalk control panel. Now, here in the AppleTalk control panel, it says it's currently set up to connect AppleTalk via airport. Now, this machine does have an airport card. However, the Wall Street and, of course, the 1400 CS do not. So, we're going to come here and select infrared port. And there we go. You need to save the changes. That'll take a minute. Okay, yeah, file sharing turned off when I made that change. So we're going to start that up. Now, we're going to give that a chance to get itself going. And while that's getting started up, we will turn our attention to the Wall Street PDQ. Stay tuned. So here is the Wall Street PDQ. The Pismo is right back here. I've got them set up so that their IR ports are about as close as I can get them to each other. I have seen on some internet sites that they should be able to connect from as far away as 16 feet. Apple, on the other hand, indicates 1 meter. Generally, the closer you can get them, the better. All right, so we need to do the same things here. Going into our control panels. Infrared. Now, you see here, it says, aha, interesting, IRDA, which is what we want, and it is in fact seeing the Pismo now. But we do have an options button which wasn't present on the Pismo. So we can choose between IDRA and IRTalk. That will be important upcoming. Okay. Now, just to make sure of certain things here, let's check our file sharing. File sharing is already on. I don't know why it wasn't on the Pismo. All right, and one last thing to check in AppleTalk. Now, AppleTalk is currently set to connect via the modem printer port. That's what it defaults to, which is pretty useless. So what we're going to do instead is to choose the infrared port. Getting port information now. All right, and that is set up. So, quit out of that. And it needs to save. All right. Now I'm going to look in the file sharing once again. And so file sharing has in fact started up as it was supposed to. All right, now one thing I do notice, the Wall Street is in serious need of a RAM upgrade. That's in the works. It will happen, depending on when the RAM actually gets here. So there's going to be an upgrade video on the Wall Street upcoming. Well, so rather than strain the Wall Street any more than necessary, I am now going to go to the back to the Pismo and actually transfer the files. Stay tuned. Okay, we're back at the Pismo desktop, and we're going to go down here to the network browser. Under AppleTalk, and here we see Lee's Wall Street PDQ. And I need to put in the password. Got it that time. I must have mistyped the password. Okay. So, we have now mounted the hard drive on the Wall Street. And we can take a look in here. See the desktop folder? Nothing in it. Now, first thing I'm going to transfer will be the family portrait. That's pretty quick. Now, that's under a megabyte, that particular picture. Okay. Now, we're going to transfer an MP3. Again, not a huge file. And this is going about as quickly. Well, not quite as quickly. It is a bigger file, but still not huge. And there we go. Now, we should, of course, go back to the Wall Street and verify that the files are there. Stay tuned. This is the Wall Street again, and we can see that the family portrait.jpg and circusjig.mp3 are both successfully transferred onto the desktop here. Now, what I need to do at this point is going to be to power down the Pismo. The Pismo's job in this whole process is now done, and power up the 1400 CS. Okay, stay tuned. All right, here's the 1400 with its amazing passive matrix screen. Yeah, right. Okay. So, went to control panels again. Now, just because we've been looking at these things, let's open file sharing first of all. And file sharing is on, which is certainly what we want. And let's open the Apple Talk menu. Okay, and it is defaulting now to alternate Ethernet. That's the PCMCIA card that I put in an earlier video. Our other choices are the modem printer port and infrared, and note IR talk. Okay. And it needs to save. Now, I just want to double check that file sharing is still enabled. And it's just starting up. That's because of switching the connection. And there we are. We are ready to go on this end. Back to the Wall Street. Stay tuned. Okay, here on Wall Street we have our files ready to go. Now the first thing we've got to do, go into control panels. We're going to go to infrared. And right now it's set to IRDA, which the 1400 cannot understand. So we're going to select our options button. And we're going to change once again to IR talk. Okay, so we've got IR talk selected. Let's check out Apple Talk. It should still, yes, it still has the infrared port as the Apple Talk connection. And one last thing. It will probably be file sharing is already on. All right, so let's go to the network browser. Okay, this has been a problem on this machine. Yeah, opening the network browser locks it up. All right, and the only way I've been able to find to get out of this is pulling the power cord. So we're going to have to see if hopefully we've got one other option. Okay, well, now the other option to which I alluded, now that I've rebooted and reset the AppleTalk connection, is the chooser. By clicking Apple Share, we've got Lee's 1400 CS right there, and we'll connect. Oh boy. Now it is possible I'm remembering the password wrong. Try that one more time. Okay. Let's see if that does it. Ah, we've got it. All right. How about that? All right. So, yeah, the hard drive on the 1400 CS is, in fact, called laptop. And here's the desktop folder. So I've got one thing in it. Now let's try to move these things out of our way. Let's drag over the family portrait. Oh, that's just a picture. Now the MP3 is quite a bit bigger, and this is obviously taking longer. That's expected. IR talk is quite a bit slower than IRDA at this. Although I've heard it say it is supposed to be more stable. All right. So now we'll drag over the circus jig. So it says 5 seconds, no matter how long there is. Okay, now it says less than a minute. On the other hand, that picture I could conceivably have copied to a floppy, but with the time that it would take me to insert the floppy into the Wall Street, copy the file, remove the floppy from the drive, take it over, plug it into the 1400, and then copy it from there, this is definitely going to be more convenient. Assuming it actually finishes, which I assume it will. It should. Okay, and in fact, I'm going to save a little bit of your time here. We'll be back on the 1400, hopefully seeing these two files. Stay tuned. Okay, back to macOS 8.6 on the 1400. And the files are here, family portrait and the circus jig. All right. And there's the file. Not the greatest version of the file, but you know, on this very old passive matrix screen, I'm just glad that it's there. Okay. So we can quit out of that. And now the circus jig. Couldn't open the file circusjig.mp3 because the file is not a movie file. All right. Basically, I think what we're seeing here is that now when I try to open that in macOS 9.2.2, it plays in QuickTime. But I think what we're seeing here is that the version of QuickTime that is in fact installed or comes with macOS 8.6 can't do that. It doesn't understand basically what an MP3 is. Yeah, kind of. Would iTunes actually run macOS 8.6? I think it would. Or would the QuickTime that's on 9.2 run an 8.6? Well, it's not really important. I'm sure that I just have got to get the right application on this machine that would actually play that file, but the portrait worked. So I think all this has been very, very successful. Now, yeah, just to sum up again, what is the practical application of this? Effectively nothing. The only computer I've got that can communicate with this computer is the Wall Street. So anything that I wanted to transfer via infrared would have to go through the Wall Street. Not to mention that the only other two computers I've got that have infrared capabilities are the Pismo and the iMac G3, both of which could not communicate directly. So yeah, it's meaningless. Having established that there is Ethernet and that it works and I can connect to my LAN, we're all good. All right, so I think, though we can wrap this up, I found this fascinating, just seeing how files could be transferred wirelessly back in the day. And I hope that you have enjoyed seeing that as well. In any event, we can wrap up the video. Be good to yourselves. You deserve it. And when you're doing that, be good to other people. They deserve it. And our world is going to be better as a result. Take very, very good and careful care in these, unfortunately, continuing very difficult times. Well, we will be seeing you soon with more videos. And I should say, as a quick addendum, of course, this has been Broken Electronics.